Flames that have engulfed parts of the Job 600 building in Parliament. We'll take you.
So, our aim now is to get the fire confined. After the fire is confined, then we know how to extinguish it.
We will take you live to Parliament, where MPs and ministers at a committee meeting have been evacuated. Also, Asantehene distils 3 chiefs for fueling Galamsey in the Ashanti region. We will take you live to the Ashanti region for more on this. The Defense Ministry deploys security forces across the country to enforce ban on exports of locally grown rice, maize and soya bean as government confirms an impending food crisis.
The security agencies are immediately activating their network to ensure that the ban on cereals, which has been listed, are regularly enforced so that nobody will take even a single grain out.
Our correspondent will give us the latest on this. We have details of these stories, plus business news, sports and showbiz, all in this 1-hour package. You don't want to miss the details. In our very first story, an unidentified miner has invaded the Draw River Forest Reserve, one of Ghana's major protected forests at Driwa Banso in the Nzima East District of the Western Region. In what could mark the beginning of a chain of forest degradation through illegal mining, part of the forest has been cleared and excavators moved to the site ready for operation. Management of Better Land Ghana Services, legal owners of a concession in the forest, have identified knowledge of the invasion. Erastus Asari-Donko went to the ground to assess the situation and has filed this report.
Some of Ghana's quality forest reserves have in recent times been attacked and destroyed illegally for gold. Powerful individuals, including politically exposed persons, have turned reserved forest like Apawasa and Apamprama into miles of useless pits and gullies. The Draw River Forest Reserve is perhaps next in line. It is a protected area located in the western region of Ghana, established in 1954. It covers an area of approximately 52,800 hectares. The Draw River Forest Reserve is now under siege.
We are in the middle of a very rich, dense forest which has been standing. It's called the Draw River Forest Reserve. It's been around 4 centuries, named after this beautiful river flowing through the forest, and it's within the Nzima East municipality of the Western region. Now, we are learning that this forest, a part of it, has been given to Better Land Ghana Limited for mining, and we are here to find out who has started doing exploration services and clearing the forest for mining.
Typical of the start of the destruction of other forests, the miners have initiated test protocols, cleared portions of the forest, and are in the process of transporting excavators and cabins into the forest for the start of an onslaught. This farmer, a native of Jurabanso, speaks of the value of this green ancient resource.
1974 to 1975. I know na road from Asasitri to Banso. Road so buy and ma investors buy by timber near their royalties back and ma cronon so tumpon. Because timber no ma sika so inyabi ya the bois chrono. Now be tutu ase na wo se no kra. Sa nchima fo na e ba no. Nye ina na ebetumi akọ school. Bi wo ha otwa nnua, otwa homa, na ono nso wanya bibi kakra na odi ato aduane adi.
He echoes the resolve of the youth to protect the forest, asking government to act.
Me de meka kire benfo mu da oman no say even your president to crack as a forest de obebo ho ban. Na sisi ya hu se ya ni amre a omo yusu na adodan kwa akofo adodin de be say ya forest no. Ti meka kire na akofo president a Ghana say onsi ne na from na ya draw forest no omo ho ban mai.
Legally, portions of the Draw River Forest Reserve have been awarded to Better Land Limited for mining, but they have denied any claims to the current invasion of the forest.
Many of the forest reserves that have been degraded, Apamprama, Apawasa, started like this. A clearing, testing for minerals, and before you realize, excavators are in there and the whole place is gone. For now, we do not know who has started this within the Draw River Forest Reserve. We demand answers. Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaredonko, Draw River Forest Reserve in Zema East, Western Region.
The Asantino Otumfuo Tutu II has distilled 3 chiefs of Sabronum in the Ashanti region for their roles in illegal mining activities in the area. The Sabronum Jasehene, Achamehin, and Bemuhin were distilled following the review of a petition by a group of concerned personalities from the traditional area. In his verdict, Otumfuo revealed he sanctioned an investigation by the National Intelligence Bureau into the allegations of the Jasehene's involvement months before the town folks petition Mesia. Erastus Asaredonko joins me for more on this. Erastus, many thanks for your time. First, what is the latest on the Draw River Forest Reserve?
Well, so when we went there after, I think about a few hours after we left the forest, we had calls that the Chinese miners who had illegally entered the forest have come for the equipment, and they are trying to remove the equipment and return them to wherever they came from. I'm yet to get more information as to whether they've been able to remove it, who is behind it and all that, but we are still following that.
And then on this, the issue of the chiefs who've been distilled, what's the latest update on that as well?
Well, so as it is, Otumfuo has made his pronouncement, and when he speaks, that is final. And it means that the 3 of them, the Jasehene and the other 2, have been distilled. And he warned them that whilst they have been distilled, if they try anything funny, he will get them arrested, because the local authorities refuse to arrest them. But he will make sure they are arrested if they do anything contrary to the law concerning Galamsey in the town.
Erastus, thank you so much for bringing us those details and updates on those 2 stories. Moving on, the minority in Parliament says it is still opposed to any plan to turn the Ghana card into a voter's ID or make it the sole identity document to register to vote. The Electoral Commission has failed on several occasions to pass a new CI to this effect. Appearing before the Assurances Committee of Parliament, Executive Secretary of the National Identification Authority, Kenneth Atuafua, suggested it was time to make that plan a reality because they had registered enough Ghanaians.
Until every single Ghanaian who is entitled to register has been registered, or who has registered has been issued with the Ghana card, then the Ghana card cannot be used for other purposes, such as elections or school enrollment or whatever it is. I think we ought to be able to respect a certain quantum as significant enough. If you have 19.9 million age 21 and above, and you have 18.1 million captured, that is a significant quantum, and it ought to be age 15 and above. It ought to be a justifiable basis for saying, for example, Mr. Chairman, that the Electoral Commission should be able to use the NIA database because it will help all of us to create a credible society that is clean and trusted.
But Chairman of the Assurances Committee, Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, insisted his party will never allow that until every single eligible voter has been enrolled onto the Ghana card.
Voting is a constitutional right. Every Ghanaian has a right to vote. So if there's any impediment, that's the view we take. If there's any impediment, once the person doesn't have the base document, if we want to use the national ID card, let's make sure all of them have it. So the political party that I belong to, we have passed a resolution. If we don't see evidence that every eligible voter has the card, then in our view, we will be violating the Constitution. So I would have wished that you didn't end on that controversial note, because you know our stance on that matter.
That was Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa. And earlier you heard Professor Kenneth Etiefua on the onboarding of all eligible voters onto the Ghana card. Now, in other stories, the Ghana National Fire Service says it is deploying all critical assets to douse flames that have engulfed parts of the building in Parliament that serves as offices for members of Parliament, as well as the parliamentary service staff. The cause of the fire is yet unknown, as MPs, ministers and staffers who were engaged in parliamentary business have all been evacuated from the building. Greater Accra Regional Commander of the Fire Service, ACF 01 Roberta Agri-Ganson, has been addressing the media.
Around 9:45, we received a distress call, and within less than 5 minutes, our appliance was here. Guys, what we are saying now is fire that has affected one of the rooms. It is like a storeroom because we have some storage items there. So our aim now is to get the fire confined. After the fire is confined, then we know how to extinguish it. The most important thing for us now is to confine the fire so that the fire does not travel to other unaffected rooms. If we would know what actually caused the fire, then it will be after our firefighting. But at the moment, the situation is very calm. So everybody should keep the heart at rest. The situation is controlled.
Everything is handled.
It's very controlled now.
So is the place safe for staff to work?
No, it is not safe now because we have to extinguish the fire totally. So after extinguishing of the fire, that is when we can come out with all other things.
Do we still have flames there? There's no flame at all.
Initially, we saw a flame, so we assumed that was the start of fire. It's been tackled. The place is very smoky now, so it is difficult for us to come out with anything for now.
How many fire tenders have been called to reach exactly where the fire was? Was it that they can't reach the tenders are not able to reach?
No, you know the tender cannot climb a stairway. So it is the human being who is to climb the stairway. So we had to just lay our hoses from where the tender is, the closest place where the tender is, to the first floor. So
how many tenders have you deployed so far?
Currently we are using 3, but luckily for us there is enough of water in Parliament.
Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kweku Asante joins us from the scene. Kweku, what more can you report from Parliament? First, were there any casualties recorded?
Well, not at all, because the entire building, the Justice and Rare building behind me, that 12th floor building was completely evacuated before the fire spread eventually. Ultimately, this fire started around about 9:30. The Government Assurance Committee was just about to start sitting. The Western Housing Minister, Kojo Nkrumah, was expected to take his turn before the committee. And then officials came in there, rushing all Parliament and officials out because part of the Justice and Rare building had caught flames and the fire service was trying to bring the situation under control. You heard that the Greater Accra Regional Commander talk about how they had to use 3 fire tenders to be able to douse the flame. Currently, there are still 2 on the scene that is trying to see that even if the fire is to reignite, the situation will be brought under control. We can confirm now that the fire has been completely brought under control. The situation has been in such a way that things are moving quite expeditiously. Members of Parliament as well as staffers have not been allowed into the Justice Hundred building as of yet, even though the situation has been brought under control. Our understanding is that the fire service and ECG officials are still on scene just in case there are situations that they have to deal with to prevent the fire from reigniting. And that is what they are trying to work on now. So, Sweetie, I can report to you now that the situation has been brought under control. The fire has been doused, but ECG officials as well as fire service officials still here to try and see that they can get this situation under control before anything of the sort, in terms of a reignition of anything of the sort. We have also been briefed by the Chief Fire Officer himself, CFO Julius Okuno, who was here about 30 minutes ago to try and see the work his men have been doing. The situation has been brought under control, and he's been the one giving us that confirmation. A number of parliamentary service staff still littered all over the place within the precincts of Parliament, awaiting instructions as to whether or not they can go back into the building, get their belongings, and then leave, because the information we are getting is that not much of key business would have to be done today because of the fire incident that have now been brought under control, so that to give the fire service as well as the Electricity Company of Ghana and other investigative bodies the time to go in there, see exactly what happened, and see to it that everywhere is safe for it to continue in the coming days, Sweetie.
Kweku, how much parliamentary business was affected, though, by this incident?
Well, as we speak, Parliament is currently on break. Members of Parliament have been on break since the 31st of July, and so the House itself, in terms of the chamber business, plenary, is not sitting. But there are a number of committees. In fact, yesterday, there was the committee on the Akosomo Dam spillage sitting, and in fact, that was just around the place that the fire swept this morning, and so one would be left wondering what exactly was going to happen if that committee was sitting. But that committee was not sitting this morning, but there were Government Assurance Committee that was sitting. But outside of that, the entire parliamentary service is still working to try and keep the business of Parliament running, even now that Parliament is on break. So as we speak now, the entire Parliament has been brought to a halt, and the parliamentary service that would have to be doing the parliamentary business whilst MPs are out of out in their constituencies have all that come on hold for the time being, that the fire service is trying to investigate the situation and ensure that this fire does not recur.
Kweku Asante, our Parliamentary Affairs correspondent, thank you for bringing us updates on that fire incident. In other stories, the National Peace Council is asking religious leaders to be conflict sensitive in their public utterances ahead of the 2024 elections. Chairman Reverend Dr. Ernest Edu Jemfi says there's a lot of tension currently. As such, the men of God should refrain from declaring the winners of the elections before the Electoral Commission. He spoke at a dialogue focused on sustaining peace before, during and after elections. Prince Kwame Kuduga joins us with some news on that. Prince, what's the latest on this development?
Well, Sweetie, this dialogue is one of the many initiatives by the National Peace Council to ensure peace as before, during, and after the 2024 election. So it brought together prophets and men of God in the Greater Accra region. Notable among the prophets and pastors present here is the leader of the Action Chapel, Archbishop Duncan Williams is here, Prophet Nigel Davis is here. Interesting one among them is Reverend Patricia, I said, popularly known as Agrada. They are all deliberating on how to ensure a peaceful election. Now, the chairman of the National Peace Council, in his opening remark, admonished these prophets to, use their pulpit as a conduit for peace. He admonished them that, they shouldn't declare the elections before the EC, as it has a tendency to spark conflicts in what he described as an already tensions political environment.
Prince, it looks like a star-studded lineup of attendees. I mean, pastors and ministers over there. How are they receiving the message from the chairman?
Well, as you see already, we've been interacting with some of them, obviously not yet until they are not willing to speak to us here. But those who have been interacting with already have assured the National Peace Council that they've accepted it and they understand that this election is a high-stake one, and they will use their pulpit as a conduit for peace. They will preach peace, and they will disseminate peace before, during, and after the 2024 elections.
Prince Kudoga there, my colleague at the I Stand for Peace conference, bringing us those details as it progresses. Now, the National Democratic Congress is calling for an urgent meeting with the Electoral Commission over what it describes as, quote, serious discrepancies, unquote, covered or discovered during the ongoing 2024 voter exhibition exercise. In a letter signed by the party's General Secretary, Fifi Avikwete, the NDC expressed concerns about inconsistencies between the provisional voter register provided by the Commission and the registers currently being exhibited at the various centers. The party is urging for a swift resolution of these issues to ensure that the upcoming elections are free, fair and transparent. Ahead of the meeting, Deputy General Secretary of the party, Mustafa Gbande, has been detailing their concerns, and he spoke on Joy News Desk a while ago.
Interest, so that these matters can first be addressed by the Commission, because obviously the Commission is the institution responsible for everything that is about election registers and everything. So for the benefit of the doubt, we think that it's appropriate that a commission would be briefed on some of the particulars of the issues before we hit to public, so that in the event that the commission is not able to deal with it, then we can open up. But in the meantime, I can refer you to some other ancillary issues, such as what has happened in Tamale, where people are being transferred from one constituency to the other from Tamale South precisely to Pusiga constituency. So it's not even adjoining constituencies, it's another region. Pusiga and Tamale are very far. And so how did we get to a place where people and their data is being transferred when they haven't actually applied for transfer? So these matters are very serious issues, including, like I said, huge discoveries, fundamental discoveries of discrepancies that the Electoral Commission should be able to address if the IPAC meeting we have requested through the General Secretary of our party to the Electoral Commission. We are hoping that we'll have that meeting and on the hand side, get the issues addressed at that level.
Away from that, the Defense Ministry has deployed security forces across the country to enforce a ban on the export of locally grown rice, maize and soya beans as government confirms an impending food crisis. Agric Minister Brian Champon says an initial assessment of the impact of the dry spell on 8 regions shows nearly 500,000 farmers will be directly affected, with an estimated revenue loss of 10.4 billion Ghana cedis. Mr. Champon also says government will be supporting affected farmers with 1,000 Ghana cedis per hectare and will be buying their harvest directly as they move in to avert possible food shortage. Well, in the last hour, our regional correspondents have been confirming the deployment of military personnel, especially across the borders, to ensure no grain moves out of the country.
Substantial amount of security personnel in our borders because of these issues of Electoral attacks in Mobile County, we go here, and also around the West area. Let me tell you that from Kokoluku up to our Sola, we're having about 80 communities that are closer to, that shares a border with the black border. And so all these areas that we have a substantial amount of military men there. But the word of the people has to do with this illegal routes that comes into this country. So when you take even a place like Fielamo and then also Hamley area, you can count as many as 15 unapproved routes that comes into the country. So the people are saying that, yes, it's good to deploy these security men in this area.
Yes, we have a number of security forces already stationed in the region as a result of the insecurity in neighboring Togo as well as Burkina Faso. And so what we are understanding is that this particular security has to just tweak or streamline their activities by deploying some of these men to these particular areas that the defense minister is talking about.
And thousands of residents across communities dotted along the Songo Lagoon in Adan East and West districts of the Greater Accra region are set to benefit from a 1,000-acre outgrower salt mining scheme launched by Electoral Ghana Limited. The company's initiative aims to boost the local economy by granting residents mining concessions with a guaranteed market. So far, 7 community groups have joined the initiative, which is expected to tackle youth unemployment in the area and boost sustainable salt mining. Carlos Caloni reports.
Open to all eligible citizens of Adan East and West districts, the 1,000-acre outgrower salt mining scheme launched by Electoral Ghana Limited aims to empower local salt miners and transform the economic fortunes of Adan residents. At the launch, a CEO of Electoral, Abdul Razak Adam, highlighted the initiative's importance in technology transfer for sustainable salt production and job creation for the local communities.
As of today, we have 70 community plans that are either completed or at various stages of completion across 7 different project-affected communities. These plans are constructed at full expense of Electoral and handed over at free of charge to the communities. So far, 499 acres have been earmarked to be done. The medium-term to long-term vision is take this to about 1,000 acres. One of the core values of this initiative is about enhancing socioeconomic development. Through this scheme, community members will have the opportunity as identifiable group to pool resources and knowledge to establish themselves as registered businesses. Some of these businesses will train them on responsible mining with our own resources. We'll train them on business management, and we train them with sound entrepreneurship, bookkeeping, and what have you, to make sure that they indeed become successful businesses.
Delivering a speech at the launch on behalf of the Paramount Chief of Adan, Nene Kabuakwaku III, Mankralo of Adan Traditional Council, Nene Agude Obitre II, urged residents to take advantage of the scheme. He also appealed to the company to expand quickly to other parts of the lagoon to boost local employment.
We are witnessing the additional grant of land areas to indigenous for salt making under what we call the outgrowers model. I urge all persons who have had doubts and apprehensions about UGL's involvement of local communities in salt mining to take this opportunity to apply to be allotted portions for their use in salt mining. I want to remind everyone that we owe it a sacred duty to ensure the rapid rollout of EGL's operation to uncover the entire list as quickly as possible, to increase employment avenues available to our people.
Beneficiaries who say they are grateful for the coming of the scheme believe the project has the potential to transform the economic fortunes of local residents.
These outgrowers is not only going to be business as usual, but our people will benefit from capacity building, technology transfer, making our people very resourceful in the future.
My colleague Carlos Caloni joins us via Zoom. Carlos, so just first confirm for us that Electoral Ghana is the one giving out these mining concessions to the residents of the communities. And what's the latest on that?
Exactly, Suti. So this is an initiative by the Electoral Ghana Limited. You know, the lagoon has been leased to Electoral and across all the communities that are close to the lagoon, the residents there are actually going to benefit from this particular initiative from Electoral. Hitherto, these guys were into what they call Achakpo, which was more or less an illegal salt mining initiative, which was not sustainable. But now Electoral is saying that, well, we have restored the lagoon and we are giving you the opportunity to mine sustainably. They're going to be able to harvest salt 4 times in a year. Hitherto, they were doing about just once a year. And these people are supposed to put themselves into groups of about 50. You put yourself together, you go to the company, you get registered, and a land is given to you to mine, and Electoral is ready to buy the product from this company. So far, about 7 of such companies have been given the opportunity, and they've been given lands to start mining salt there, sweetie.
And this comes as good news to the residents, does it not?
Indeed, if you really follow that story, how the youth of Adan over time have actually stood against Electoral. When we spoke to the youth groups in the community, they say this is a welcoming news. The fact that hitherto they were harvesting once a year, and now with the introduction of this outgrower scheme, they'll have the opportunity to harvest 4 times a year, which means that they're going to make 4 times the profit they were making. It's a welcoming news. So the traditional authority, the youth groups are all welcoming this initiative by Electoral Ghana Limited.
Thank you, Carlos Coloni. Now, the Komfanochi Teaching Hospital is battling to pay a 1 million cedi import duty on water phantom equipment for the oncology department of the hospital. Doctors of the unit recently went on strike to protest the delay in the restoration of the linear accelerator system required for the treatment of cancer patients. Chief Executive Officer of the Komfanochi Teaching Hospital, Professor Ochre Adai Mensam, is pleading with the government to waive the import duty after an unbudgeted amount was spent on importing the machine. Nana Yao Jima was at the performance review meeting of the hospital and has filed this report.
In June this year, cancer patients reporting for care at the oncology unit of the Komfanochi Teaching Hospital were left stranded after doctors suspended services in demand for the essential equipment. After the fixing of the linear accelerator system, it remained non-operational due to the breakdown of a water phantom used for calibration. The hospital, after the procurement of the equipment at the cost of $110,000, is now battling payment of a 1 million cedi import duty. CEO Dr. Adan Mensah says the breakdown of the equipment is recorded occasionally.
You would recall that our oncology doctors went on strike and was on the basis of the fact that a LINAC machine had not been repaired. We entered into a PPM. We are paying around $210,000 a year for the PPM. Immediately we fixed that. Then there was a problem with the water phantom that was required to calibrate the radiotherapy doses. Now guess what? It had not been budgeted for. The total cost was $110,000. We have paid for that. The equipment is in-house, but we are having to battle with about 1 million cedis by way of duty. We have written for exemption. Dr. Nsia Asari and the Ministry of Finance are working very hard at it.
In the past 6 months, apart from the Heal Komfanochi project, spearheaded by Asantehene, some facilities are being refurbished. With 2.6 million cedis, a comprehensive renovation was undertaken on the hospital's physiotherapy and laundry units.
Nanayao Jima joins us now with more updates on this. Nanayao, what is the latest on this 1 million Ghana cedi, 1 million cedi import duty and plans to actually waive it?
Now, Komfanochi Teaching Hospital management say they are in talks with the government to ensure that they waive this for them, because according to them, they did not budget for the water phantom, but it had become very necessary that they procure one. So they didn't have enough resources for the procurement and also for the import duty. So they're expecting government to waive it for them so that they are able to get this essential equipment to ensure that people who need treatment at the oncology unit of the Komfanochi Teaching Hospital get access to this very important equipment. So they are now waiting upon government to hear the response. But according to the CEO of the hospital, they have made this issue known to government, and they believe that very soon they will hear something from the government, especially government waiving this import duty for them to ensure that they have the equipment.
Nana Ojima, thank you for bringing us that update. We have to break for business, but still to come. Association of Oil Marketing Companies expressed concern about the quality of oil supplied by Sentu Oil Refinery to oil marketing companies. Details after this break.
A great afternoon to you and a warm welcome to the business segment on Joy News today with me, Pius Kojo Baka. Chief Executive Officer of the Association of Oil Marketing Companies, Dr. Riverson Opong, has expressed concerns about the quality of oil supplied by Central Oil Refinery to oil marketing companies. In an interview with Joy Business, Dr. Opong emphasized that there is a need for government to prioritize the revitalization of TOR to improve market operations in the downstream sector.
What is very critical for us is the availability of product. Shortage of product will be a very big issue and a big national security issue even. Our issues with Centrio has to do with the fact that the quality of product that they are bringing to our marketers are not right. We've raised our issue with MPA and we have a dialogue to discuss it. We wish Tamar Oil Refinery was working, to be honest with you, because I'm a Ghanaian and for local content purposes, I would rather we put more attention on the national asset rather than a private business. Even though PPP, is a way to go to have, investment made in any country, but why leave TOR and go support, a Chinese business who will take all the money from Ghana and take it to China in a way? And TOR has the ability to be revamped. There's no way, there's no doubt about this. But it's a government decision to make it work.
Secretary of the Ghana Association of Savings and Loans Companies, Chenibu Akodia Boache, is calling for the enforcement of credit bureaus across the country to track activities of borrowers from various financial institutions. According to him, this should be effectively done to save financial institutions from increasing non-performing loans affecting cost of operations. He spoke to Joy Business at the 8th Ghana Microfinance Institution Network Awards Night and Dinner.
That there are some of our institutions who have already been benefiting from the funds that are made available through the Development Bank of Ghana. And so DBG has started, and some of our institutions are already benefiting from this wholesale credit facility, so that our institutions who know how to deliver credit best will now deliver this credit to businesses, to households, to propel the economy. And so this is something that we welcome it. And our institutions, we encourage all our institutions to take advantage of these facilities for growth. You'll realize that our sector deals with the very core of the community. And so when the economy faces some challenges, you will see it in the lives of our customers. And so we have seen that some of our customers are defaulting, but because of the robust credit systems that we have put in place, we are mitigating these defaults, and we will encourage everybody who has taken a facility from any of the financial institutions. If you think you have a challenge in repayment, approach your financial institutions, and we are sure that they will be able to help you address your challenges.
And that's it for business for now. Dara will be at 1 p.m. with the marketplace. Sports is next.
Time now to bring you sports here on Joy News today with me, Muftao Nabila Abdullahi, President of the Ghana Football Association. Keto Kriku has revealed that his administration has procured 13 buses, 9 of which will be given to Division 1 clubs and 4 will be given to Women's Premier League clubs. In the last Congress organized by the football governing body, Mr. Kriku had promised that he was going to buy buses for Premier League and Division 1 clubs, and 13 of those buses have arrived. They have been cleared by the Ghana Football Association, and 9 of them will be given to the Division 1 clubs, while the other 4 will be given to the Women's Premier League clubs. He's also revealed that the Ghana Football Association will be building 2 more natural grass pitches at the Ghana Soccer Center of Excellence, Pram. And also, effective 2025-2026 Ghana football season, all clubs participating in the Ghana Premier League can have as many as 4 players who are under 19 play football at the top division. And let's talk about the NDC manifesto now. Adam Agbana, he's a member of the NDC Manifesto Committee for Sports. He has revealed that if the NDC is given power to govern the country in this year's presidential elections, they will ensure that the facilities that are used for sporting activities are maintained.
What makes it even more challenging for us in the sector of sports is the fact that when you look at the NSA, because they are heavily under-resourced, they have resorted to looking for some creative ways of raising funds. And that is why they would prefer charging some artists who come and host a musical concert at the stadium, charging some churches to come and host prayer meetings and conventions and what have you at the stadium or at the stadia. Why? Because they are looking for alternative sources of income. It's a conversation we need to have. Because when you go to other countries, a stadium is so sacred that maintenance is given 100% attention. But what do we have today in Ghana? Poor maintenance of the facilities. Look at stadium that we built in Cape Coast, the Cape Coast Stadium, not too long ago. It's not even up to 20 years, not even up to 10 years. And what do you see? Terrible. Look at Baba Yara Sports Stadium. Look at Accra Sports Stadium. Look at the whole sports stadium in the vault.
That is your sport for now. We do have more sports stories on myjoyonline.com.
This is World News. Doctors in Nigerian public hospitals have started a 7-day nationwide strike to demand the release of their colleague, Dr. Ganiyat Popoola, who's been held by kidnappers for 8 months. The mother of 5 was taken from her home in the middle of the night on 27th of December, alongside her husband and a nephew. Her husband was released in March after a ransom was reportedly paid, but the kidnappers held on to the ophthalmologist and her relative. The doctors say they will not even provide emergency care during the strike. They feel that the security agencies are not doing enough to secure Dr. Popoola's freedom. That's it for World News. Showbiz coming up next with Jacqueline Ansomayabwa.
Hello there, you're welcome to the Showbiz segments with me, Jacqueline Ansomayabwa. Now to our first story, the US Afrobeat song chart just got a major shake-up. Nigerian musician Asake and American rapper Travis Scott has a new hit, which is active, and it has leaped to #1 on Billboard, giving both artists their first ever chart topper. Let's break it down here. What would you do if you were awakened in the middle of the night by the 77 girls of Cape Coast? That was a predicament recounted by the paramount chief of the Ogwa traditional area as he calls for Ghanaians to reconnect with traditional beliefs. Speaking exclusively to the Super Morning Show host Kojo Nyankson in the run-up to the 60th Ogwa Fetu Afasha celebrations in September, Osabari Marquesi Atta II highlighted the natural connections which he says has always existed between Ghanaians and our ancestors, stating that they are all around us.
In those days, yes, we had a way of communicating with the realms around us. Bad atmosphere were not, I would say, did not happen in those days.
Do you think there is a need for us to perhaps reignite some of these, religious and traditional beliefs?
Yes, yes.
Cape Coast is supposed to have 77 gods.
Yes.
Do you have a relationship with these gods? Do you know them? Do they know you? Do you communicate?
I mean, once you have sworn in as the chief, all of them know you. I'll tell you a story. Just across the road, here, the shrine of one of the Mafo company, Asafo, is just in Kum. It's just located here. I was asleep one day, around 11 p.m., 12, thereabouts, and I heard a knock at my door. I got up, opened the gate. The question I was being asked by the how do I call it? The spirit in there.
The spirit was at your door?
With the fetish, the priest, to come and ask me, if it rains, am I safe, or does the rain fall on me when I'm in? I said no. Why have I left him to be where he is with the rain beating him?
What did you do?
I had to apologize. And the following day, I had to call the Supi for us to go and put something, a covering on where he was.
Wow.
So it's an indication of their presence with us.
Note as a wrap for the showbiz segments with me, Jacqueline and Sumayabwa. Over to you, sweetie.
Jacqueline, you just updated my movie list, but that's how we're wrapping up for the Joy News today. For more news, log on to myjoyonline.com, and there you'll find the latest stories like that Job 600 building on fire that was doused in Parliament, and many other stories for your reading pleasure. My name is Sweetie Abochi. Many thanks for your time.